Are you looking for massive growth? How does 50% annual dividend growth over a decade sound? Want to know about dividend growth stocks growing their dividends at a blazing pace? Then you have to check out today's video.
He is a best-selling author.
30-year-old Jason Fieber has a plan.
This guy retired at only 33 years old.
I don't know if I know too many people that have accomplished something like that.
He's really kind of a guru when it comes to passive income.
Before I get into today's content, please give us a big thumbs up if you find value in our videos. Helps us to get the word out and grow the channel, and I'd really appreciate it. Dividend growth investing. It really is one of the very best long-term investment strategies out there. That's because it basically funnels you right into some of the world's very best businesses. After all, you can't pay ever larger dividends without producing ever more profit. And you can't produce ever more profit without being a world-class enterprise. But some investors believe that dividend growth stocks are limited to only mature, slow growth companies. I've done so many videos going over why that's just not true. And I'm back at it again. Today, I want to tell you about 3 dividend growth stocks that have been growing their dividends at rates approaching or even exceeding 50% annually over the last 10 years. Ready? Let's dig in. The first dividend growth stock growing its dividend at a blazing pace is Broadcom Inc., stock ticker AVGO. Broadcom is a global semiconductor company with a market cap of $195 billion. Broadcom has been a dividend growth monster. I don't know of any dividend growth stock that has increased its dividend at a higher rate over the last decade. How high has this growth rate been? Their 10-year dividend growth rate is an astounding 69.1%. Yep, their quarterly dividend in the summer of 2011 was 11 cents per share. That quarterly dividend is now at $3.60 per share. That's an increase of more than 30 times. Next time you hear someone talk about how dividend growth stocks don't grow, just mention Broadcom, case closed. They've increased their dividend for 11 consecutive years, and with the dividend only accounting for about half of their free cash flow, you know there's more to come. Broadcom's valuation looks a little bit stretched to me, but a pullback could be just the opportunity you need to invest. Even with all that growth, the stock still yields 3%. Where else are you going to find a 3% yield with a dividend growth rate that high? Through M&A activity, revenue is up 10-fold over the last decade. Free cash flow is up almost 20-fold. The current price to cash flow ratio of 15.3 is slightly higher than its own 5-year average of 15.6, but a small pullback might be all you need to really consider grabbing shares. The second dividend growth stock growing its dividend at an incredible rate is CTO Realty Growth Inc., stock ticker CTO. CTO Realty is a net lease real estate investment trust with a market cap of $322 million. This REIT is a lot smaller than the REITs I typically focus on, but its small size lends itself to the potential for an outsized growth rate, and that's exactly what this company has delivered. Their 10-year dividend growth rate is a monstrous 47.1%. Not as high as Broadcom, sure, but against almost any other stock, that's unreal. And get this, the stock yields 7.4%. If anyone knows of a higher yield and a higher dividend growth rate paired together like this, I'd love to hear about it because I'm not aware of anything quite like it. They've increased their dividend for 8 consecutive years, but do be aware that the payout ratio is dangerously high. They most recently reported adjusted funds from operations per share of $1.07 for the second quarter of 2021, but the quarterly dividend is $1 per share. By the way, that $1 quarterly dividend, $4 per year, is up 25 times compared to the 2 cents a share semi-annual dividend they were paying back in 2012. Even after a 30% run-up this year, the stock doesn't look expensive. This was nearly a $70 stock before the pandemic. At less than $55 per share now, it's yet to fully recover. The price to cash flow ratio of 11.3 is precisely in line with its 5-year average. Now, I view this as rather speculative in nature. It's a small cap stock with a high yield and a high payout ratio, but revenue is up fourfold over the last 10 years, and they've recovered nicely off of last year with adjusted funds from operations per share for the most recent quarter, up almost 1,000% year over year. It's definitely interesting. Last but not least, let's talk about Timberland Bancorp Inc, stock ticker TSBK. Timberland Bancorp is a community bank with a market cap of $239 million. Unless you live in Western Washington, which is where this bank operates, you've probably never heard of Timberland Bancorp, but don't let that impede your interest because I've got something that'll grab your attention. Their 10-year dividend growth rate is a colossal 55%. I've got your attention now, right? On top of that impressive growth, the stock also yields 2.9%. These stocks are pretty unique here in terms of not only their huge dividend growth rates, but also the fairly attractive yields they offer. What's perhaps even better in the case of this particular stock here is the payout ratio at only 25.4%. There's plenty of room for more dividend increases. Another special thing about Timberland Bancorp, they routinely pay special dividends, like the 10 cents per share special dividend that came along with the normal 21 cents a share quarterly dividend they declared for the third quarter of this year. They're going on 10 consecutive years of dividend increases, but they're really just getting started. The stock is up almost 18% year to date, but the valuation remains very reasonable. Now, this is a community bank with a market cap of less than $300 million. There's more risk here than when you're talking about some blue chip large cap stock. But this has been a performer. The stock is up almost 500% over the last 10 years. The price to earnings ratio is under 9. The price to book ratio of 1.2 is on the low end for a bank in general, and it's also lower than the stock's own 5-year average price to book ratio of 1.5. This is a super interesting small cap stock with a very high dividend growth rate, attractive yield, and even special dividends. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Give us a like if you did, and let us know in the comments what you think about these 3 dividend growth stocks growing their dividends like crazy. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on new content. Also, take a look at the description box below for some important links, including the link to my personal stock portfolio. This 6-figure portfolio, which I call the Fire Fund, generates enough passive dividend income for me to live off of. It allowed me to retire in my early 30s. I've made my portfolio entirely accessible over a Patreon, and I also post alerts there whenever I buy or sell a stock. I put my money where my mouth is, and I'm often invested in the same high-quality dividend growth stocks that I make videos on. Over the years, I've heard from thousands of investors who have been profiting from many of the same exact stocks that I own. So if you think this is something that you could benefit from as well, check the link in the description to see my portfolio and start getting my buy and sell alerts. I'll see you next time.